Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope that you are good and you are here for a very interesting talk about how can you transition from being a data scientist into a robotics engineer or robotics developer, okay? Then, if this is your goal, then you are at the correct place. There's one here. Okay, let me just go into the presentation. Before we go into that, so you can put your questions on the chat beside on the YouTube channel. Then we will be answering the questions maybe along the presentation or maybe afterwards. It depends on how it goes, the thing. So don't hesitate to put your questions whenever it pops into your mind so you don't forget later, okay? Then let me go straight into the point. So this is the subject that we are going to talk today. How can you transition from being a data scientist into a robotics expert? And the point is that maybe you should be thinking is about, so why are you talking about this to me? Hey, why? Well, the thing is that I was reading around and then I found the current data scientist situation. This is just an example on Reddit. It's from 9 months ago, but it's a very clear one, okay? So at present, it does apply. And then I found this very, very interesting because it says that he's a freelancer data scientist and he's finding very hard to get some projects on data scientists. And then he expresses his knowledge about all the layoffs that they have happened in the data scientist space. Even the director of AI of Microsoft was laid off because of that. And then he's asking about what can he do about the situation, right? So this is the place that we are going to answer this question because I want to propose you a solution to this problem. And is that you may be considering to jump into robotics. I'm waiting here for the question. The question is, but why are you asking me to jump into a robotics job? That should be your question. Why? If I am a data scientist, why not about, I don't know, AI for manufacturers, I don't know. Or maybe about mechanical engineering. Why not? Why not? Well, what I am suggesting you is that you jump into a robotics software developer. Okay, so that is, I'm talking about you jump into robotics, but in the software sector of robotics. Like this guy that we can see here on the screen. And why in this subject? Well, because at present, you probably know, okay, the robots everywhere, they are going to be at home very soon, and so on. So many companies, they are popping up. Now they are doing robotics. Now they have figured out this is their goal, okay? Yeah, well, anyway, those just taking the opportunity, those companies, but now you can take also the opportunity to jump into this high demand space. And also because if you have been working as a data scientist, you are very close. You are one of the closest to jump into the robotics sector. So from other possible jobs that people may have, and they want to jump into robotics, then data science is one of the closest one. Specifically, I mean, robotics software developer, okay? Then also maybe that's interesting for you because I think that the average annual salary, this is from the United States, I took from LinkedIn, analyzing the jobs in the United States. It's about this one, and based on what I read on Reddit for the data scientist, then the salaries are more on this area. So I think that would be like an improvement in your situation also in terms of salary. Okay, why do I say that data scientists, you are closer to robotics? Because you already know a lot of skills that are required for robotics, like, for example, statistics and mathematics. So you know about probability, you know about regression, Bayesian, and some linear algebra and calculus. All the ones that apply to machine learning. All those are used in robotics. Then also in terms of programming and technical skills, you know a lot of Python, probably. You know R. Okay, R is not used in robotics. Okay, so you know, okay, great. And SQL also is not important for robotics, but Git, it's very important. When you want to work in a robotics company, you need to use Git. And also you need to have basic software engineering practices. That is one also of the main points for a data scientist. So you know how to create software, but for inside a company, not in a university situation, let's say. Okay, so you have been working in a company, you have been developing software, and you have been applying those engineering practices in theory, I mean. And then also you know about machine learning. As you know, at present, robotics is kind of mixing, this is in the state of mixing the actual robotics things with the AI things. Because robots cannot do anything without a brain. And AI is the one that is providing this brain to the robots. So you have some skills in machine learning that can be applied directly into the robots. You only need to know how. So you are very, very close. Great. So the only thing that you need to do is to learn the missing skills, and then you will be programming robots. So which skills do you need to learn? Well, I have done here is kind of a map of the things, the main things that are necessary for working in robotics. This is based on analyzing like 100 and something jobs in LinkedIn for robotics. Okay. But let me go and this is a map of many words that you can see, but let me like filter to the most essential ones. And I have divided into two parts. First one is software development skills. These software development skills I have decided, I have put it first, languages. I'm including languages, programming and technologies. In languages, so you need to learn about Linux. So many data scientists, as far as I know, they are working on Windows, but robots, they work on Linux. So you need to learn Linux first. Okay, that's basic. That is basic. And then you need to learn C++. This is like the most difficult part, I think, in data scientists, which is to change from Python to C++. C++ is another beast. Okay, and that is the language that is used in robotics for products. For robotics products, we are using C++. So you need to master this because the robotics engineering companies, they are going to be looking for you to master, really master C++. I'm going to tell you in a minute how you can do that. Then also in programming, you need to know some things that probably you are not used to in data scientists, which is to work in open source software. Well, this may you have some experience, but you need to work more on this. Then unit testing, probably you don't have experience about this. Then this is very, very important in robotics. You need to know about how to create tests that check that your code is working, even if somebody else is pushing some changes to the repo. Okay, so that's unit testing. And then the continuous development and continuous integration pipe. that allows to push continuously new changes. Then some automatic tests, they are executed, not only unit testing, but also functional tests. And then they are providing a report that accepts these changes or not based on the results of the tests. Okay, so I think that those are the things that you need to push more in terms of programming skills, because you already know the basics of skills, algorithmics, databases, how to do different architectures and so on. So you know about this, I think, as a scientist, data scientist. And then on technologies, you need to know more about the cloud, how to use AWS or else to integrate those into your robot, and especially Docker. The Docker technology is very much used in robotics, and also ROS. I don't know if you know about ROS. If you're a pure data scientist, maybe you don't have no idea about what I'm talking about. This is the Robot Operating System, and this is a framework that allows you to develop robotics programs by reusing a lot of other software that has been done before by some other people. So this allows the reuse of software, so you don't have to start on every robot every time from zero, creating the whole base system for your robot. Okay, so ROS is mandatory also. ROS and C++ are the two main things that you need to learn. If you have to select here. And then by hand, you will need Linux, because ROS works on Linux. So about the most important point, as I mentioned before, master C++. You need to master C++. I know you are used to work in Python. Make the change to C++. Okay, how to do that? Okay, first, learn the basics in C++. So in our company, the Construct Robotics Institute, we are a specialist in delivering these kind of trainings for robotics. And then we have the C++ for robotics course, which is for free. This is for the basics, very basics. Then you can use this QR code to go to the course later and then start it, in case that you have no idea about C++. If you have some idea about C++, then you need to continue on the advanced modern C++ for robotics. So that's like the advanced knowledge on C++. At this point in time, once you have done those two courses, you know C++. But that's not enough for robotics, okay? You know how to do classes, you know how to do inheritance, you know what is a virtual function, you know the pointers, the difference between pointers and references and so on, but that doesn't provide you like the skills to work in robots. You need to know when to use what and why. And that is the purpose of this other thing. It's study this book, which is Effective Modern C++. This book is awesome. I recommend always in my career guidance sessions that I do to the people that hire me for that. Then I always recommend this book because it's excellent. This is the one that is going to make your brain understand when to use what thing and when not. Why do you have to overload an operator, for example? When do you have to create a new destructor for a given class instead of the default one, etc., etc. So this book, you need to master this book and then go and participate into open source robotics projects. So you need to follow this whole path. Is first start with the basics, then the advanced, and finally then take the modern C++ book to understand all the things that you have learned before. Then on the final step, you have to apply this into open source projects, real open source projects that are there on the internet. So you search for them and then decide to participate and solve issues in those repos by applying what you have learned in the previous one. So that's how you are going to master C++. Then you need to master ROS2. ROS2, as I mentioned before, is like a framework. You can see here some images of ROS2 software that allows you to simulate. It allows you to plan and to, for example, for robotics arms, and then to visualize data from robots in different aspects. And it provides basically the basic layer on which you can build programs on top of it without taking into account what is the specific robot that you are going to apply this. So ROS allows you to separate between the actual physical robot and the software. So both of them are independent. You can even put, instead of the real robot, you can use a simulation, and then the software will be even the same because of the ROS layer that is isolating this. So for you as a software developer, for robots, that is mandatory. And I have included here also a course that we provide, which is called the ROS to Basics in 5 days in C++, with a QR code, just in case that you are interested. We are like the best. You don't know us before, then we are like the best company in the world teaching ROS. And that's our main program, our main course where we teach this subject. So you can take any other course around the world, okay? So this is my suggestion because it's my company, and also because it's not only because it's my company, it's because I think it's the best in the world, that you can learn this the fastest way. Then, so I have mentioned on the previous slide, I was mentioning the skills that you need to learn, which are about software. Okay, so this is about software. Now let's go about robotics and AI skills. So for robotics, you need to learn the basics of how robots work. What are the simulations? A simulation of a robot simulations in robots are used a lot. And then you need to understand how to create, how to use them, and so on. Then you need to know about kinematics and dynamics of the robot's movements. And then for that, you will need to learn some linear algebra. Maybe you already know, okay? So I have included here as just in case that you didn't pay too much attention to linear algebra when you were studying in data science. Then maybe pay more attention here. And then finally, you need to learn about sensors and actuators. Robots are a different beast than computers. Okay, why? Because they can send actions to things that then afterwards move and then change the state of the robot. So for a computer, it's very easy because you just execute the program in the computer stays like this, and it's a fixed hardware, it's a fixed input, it's a fixed output, everything is fixed. In the robots, no. You have the sensors that are capturing the data all the time, and as the robot moves, this data is changing all the time. And then afterwards, you need to decide how to move the robot in the real environment. So you need to understand those subjects too. Then about AI, so I consider that you already know a lot about AI, so don't be worried about AI for robotics. But in case that you would like to increase your knowledge, that will be good, is try to concentrate on computer vision. It means algorithms about vision and how to use images in order to recognize things like objects, people, areas, whatever. Or SLAM, which is about robot navigation. Robot navigation means robots moving by themselves in an environment. So how to make a robot move by itself when you tell the robot, go to this place, and then the robot knows how to go there while avoiding the obstacles. That would be the two AI skills that I would suggest you to study. Then all of those things you can learn by building a robot. So I have prepared here a course, which is also a course that we deliver with a QR, in which we teach you all those subjects about robotics and AI by building this robot. So you are going to build a robot physically. You will understand all the parts included in a robot. The parts that you can see in these basic robots are the same in all the other robots, just that maybe they have more or bigger or more powerful, but the concepts are the same. The motors for moving the joints, the power board, the battery, the computer to control everything, the sensors, etc. Okay, so that's the basic robot that you should build. And by building them, you apply the different subjects. Like I mentioned here, you will understand about the kinematics, the algebra, generate the simulation for your robot, how the sensors work and how the actuators work, how to do computer vision, and how to do robot navigation. Just by building this robot, you get all this thing, okay? In case that you are interested, there is a QR code in the image. Okay, then let me give you some final advices. So now you know about the subjects, the skills that you need to learn and how to acquire them. Then let me give you a couple of more advices that you can take advantage of. The first one is that you join this Robotics Worldwide list. It's a free mailing list that is provided by a university, and they are providing a lot of opportunities in robotics around the world. So every day they are sending emails about opportunities like, for example, jobs. Jobs are little offers there, but there are internships, there are PhDs, postdocs, conferences, trainings. Everything is provided there, and then you can figure out, see which ones you are interested, and then decide to apply to those options. This is for free, so I highly recommend that. It's not going to harm you, and only they are not, let's say, they are not marketing messages that they are sending you. They are news that they are sending you about robotics opportunities in the world. And then the second advice that I would like to give you is that you start working with other people in robotics, and then you will get the feeling of this. For that, attend conferences or workshops or similars. Here I have listed the 3 most convenient for your situation. That would be the ROSCON, which is the ROS conference, and, which is an international conference about ROS and how to program robots with ROS. That's very, very interesting. Then the IROS, which is very important also in the robotics in general world. And then the CES, which is about technology, where you can find opportunities for your position, for looking for positions, looking for ideas, etc. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Then as an additional thing, then let me tell you that in case you feel like, wow, that's a lot, I cannot do this by myself, then let me tell you that we have created a specific program that we call the Robotics Developer Masterclass, which is a 6-month program. It's online, completely online, and is a program that we have devised to provide you with all the required skills, the ones that you have seen there and more. Okay, so you will be a lot more prepared for that in 6 months. So we start with Linux and Python, but then we continue with Git, C++, ROS, all the different systems of ROS, simulations, how to do navigation, also how to apply to robot arms, the basics of robotics, then how to apply all this for the creation of products like Docker, unit testing, continuous integration, and then finally getting a project and getting an internship. So we provide an internship also. Then how do you work in this program is by using simulations and real robots. So it is online, but you will get the simulations are online. You don't have to worry about that. Everything is working, but also you connect to our robots here in Barcelona, and then you start practicing with them. Like, for example, we have this awesome robot for warehouses, the Robotnik. You will have to use it. The UR3 arm, combined with vision, you have to capture some pieces, and so on. We have some other robots that you will be using. You connect from your location, okay? So it's not that you need to go to some place. It's online from wherever you are. Then we also send you the fastball robot, because that's a basic experience that you need to experience if you have to get a job in robotics. So we send you this. This is included in the price. Also, we allow you to create a portfolio that is going to be very useful afterwards when you start looking for a job. So as you progress, the projects that you are using and creating, they will be appearing into your portfolio automatically. So you don't have to do anything, and then it's being shown there, so you can afterwards show to your employers. And then also we get an internship. When you finish everything, then we will look for an internship for you, and then you will start practicing in a job, in a real job as an intern, and all the things that you have studied. So that's the Robotics Developers Masterclass. It starts on March, about to start in less than a month. And then we are sharing a coupon code in case that you want to have some discount in the chat right now. And yes, so that is all from my side so far. Then let's go and let's check for the questions in the chat. So here we have, says Vijayanan Keye, says, hi, good to be part of this webinar. My pleasure. Sap also say hi. Yeah, okay, excellent. Then we have a question from Hani Balas, who says, how about mechanical engineer and their course for mechanics? So I think that you mean that you would like to be a robotics mechanical engineer? That's it? I don't understand very well your question. In case that you are asking that, we are not addressing this point. So with this suggestion that I'm saying, I'm proposing here, is to become a robotics developer. So it's only about software. Why? Because you are a data scientist, you are very close. So you can be working in 6 months in robotics as a robotics developer. That is the proposal here. So for robotics mechanical engineer, wow, you need to study a lot about mechanical engineer. You are very far from there. And that would be for building the physical robots. Yes, you can also do it, okay? You can also do it, but that's not the plan that I am proposing you here. Then what about Python instead of C++? Yes, so that question is very common. Then in robotics, if you want to work at a company, then the people at the company, they are using C++ for several reasons. First, for robustness, also for efficiency. And then this is mandatory because the products in robotics, they need to work all the time. Otherwise, it cannot work just one or just a few times. You know, then Python is very inefficient and also is very dangerous because you don't know if your code is going to crash unless the code goes through the path where there is the error, right? So all these errors are already captured in C++ during the compilation phase. So we are making a lot more robust code by using C++. But also C++ is a lot more efficient. And in robotics, you need to make reactions as fast as you can. So that's why C++. But it's a lot more complicated. John Makura Mugaruka says, this is beautiful. Great. I don't know what you are saying, but if it's beautiful, it's beautiful. What can we say? Then we have another question that says, can you tell what are the international certification in robotics? No, I don't know. I have no idea. The international certification in robotics. So there are many universities delivering these certificates. I think that the certificates, they are getting less and less important in the robotics world because at the end, what it matters is that you know how to do the things and that you show. That's why it's important to have the portfolio. And that's why we are stressing this point in the masterclass, in the Robotics Developers Masterclass, because you can then show to your employers that you actually know. Not just by showing a certificate. The certificate, we know how it goes at the universities, right? And then, so at the end, even if you have the certificate from the university, it doesn't mean that you know how to do things, right? So that's the point. So I cannot help you on that. But then you put another question that says, need to tie up with your company to do certification? What is the procedure and how to start the procedure? So I kind of not understanding your question, but let me answer something. If you want to get one of our certifications, yes, you can do it. So we have some of the courses. Let me show you here again. For example, let me show you one of the courses. This one. Okay, build your first robot. No, this one doesn't. This one. You see, this ROS to Basics says professional certificate. Okay, so this means that this course provides a professional certificate. Then, what does it mean? It means that in order to get a certificate, you need to do a lot of things with us, because we need to certify that you really know the subject. And we don't like people that are copying from others and then showing like it looks like they know, but at the end they don't, because they have just copied or whatever. Then for that we have defined a procedure, and so to discard all these people then quickly, and then that our certificate is actually closer to certificate that the person actually knows the subject. How do we do that? First, you need to take the course, as it says there. So you follow the course, learn, do the exercises, and so on. In the middle of the course, there is a project that you need to do. This project is not only using the simulations that appear on the course is working with simulations embedded into your web browser. And then you need to practice with this web browser, but then you need to do a full project with a real robot. The real robot is here in our facilities, and then you connect to the real robot from your location. So you need to create a project that actually works in the real robot. That's a lot more painful than the simulation. You will see if you try. Okay, real robots are always more difficult than simulations. Then once you achieve to make the full course, to make the project with the real robot, then you need to request for a presentation of your project. And then we'll have a YouTube streaming like this one, where you will be presenting your project to the audience, to a teacher that is evaluating you live in real time. And then in real time, you need to connect also to the real robot here and show to the audience that your project works, and then the teacher is going to ask you questions to evaluate if you know or not about the subject. And then finally, if you answer the questions properly, everything works, you get the certificate. As you can see, it's a tough work, okay? But we want to, when we give you the certificate, it means that you know what you are doing. Yeah, and we can certify that you know. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. I think that we don't have more questions. Then you can also, if you're watching this video later or you have more questions later, you can put the questions on the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them afterwards on the comments. Okay, then I think that this is all for today, and that's it. Then see you next week with another webinar about how you can change your career and become a robotic software developer. Thank you very much. Bye. Guys, so one point that it arrived just another question while it was the streaming ending, and then I saw it, and then I want to reply, of course. So it's the same person, is Bihayanand Dakele, and then he says, I tried to complete 100% course on robotics and made many of my students to do the course. For presentation, we didn't get the slot for any reply. Okay, so please follow the instructions that are on the project. So on the project, there is a project. Inside the course is telling you, hey, at this point, open the project and do this section of the project. You need to follow all the instructions, okay? Then once you finish the project, it says at the end how to request for the presentation. And it says that you have to send an email to this address and indicate blah, 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 so on. So If you do follow this, I can assure you that we are going to send you the answer, your question, and provide you with a slot for doing the presentation. But you need to contact us first requesting this. Okay, so we can agree, because we need to agree with you with the time and so on. So we need to exchange some emails. I can tell you that we are doing this all the weeks and many times, so then that works. Okay, so please, if you already did this and didn't get any reply, try it again. Okay, try again and check that you are following the instructions. Thank you very much. Now it's ending. Bye-bye, everyone.